Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. I really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with cinematographer Stephen Poster. Man, talk about a career and talk about a start to his career. So many things had to go right for everything to go right. And it was fun talking about his journey. And then, of course, Blade Runner, Strange Brew. We talked about Donnie Darko, basketball, and man, so much more. So if you haven't checked that out yet, hold the phone after this week's review. Go back and check it out. And make sure you subscribe and follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. But man, we are about to go into our second boxing sequel. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, Teen Wolf 2 was the first one. But now we're going into the Rocky franchise. And we're going with the last. Rocky 5. Oof. And before I talk about this drama, I got to introduce you to my sparring partner on the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you?
I'm okay, Doug. I'm disappointed that I had to see this movie again, and I'm a huge Rocky fan. I'm not gonna play games and wait, tell you how much I hated the movie. I'm gonna come right out, and the movie's horrible. Outside of maybe just one part at the end that I really like, I still get goosebumps. Outside of that, this movie's rough. I mean, just real quick, Rocky doesn't throw a punch until an hour and 20 minutes into the movie, and it's at a punching bag.
Wait, you're not talking about the flashback that we got in the first 3 minutes that got you jacked up? Like, whoa, this is going to be intense like Rocky 4.
Well, every Rocky movie does start off that way. They always do but listen, well, first of all, this is the first Rocky we see him naked.
He was naked a lot in these two movies. In the 2 years, Steven, he was, taking on cash. He's naked in the shower, and that's 89.
I'm talking about for Rocky, though. Rocky, the family movie, and the first scene, he's standing in a naked shower, in a shower.
All right, let's cut the slide naked, and we got to introduce our guest. He was our Munchie expert. And that's what I wanted it to be forever. Not like didn't want him to come back. I just wanted more Munchies. Not enough Munchies in this world. And then he tackled the Cannonball Run 2, the shortest but longest race ever. And that,
So he went up to Cannonball Run. So he went from Munchie to Cannonball Run, which is a huge jump. And then we bring him back down to Rocky.
You mean he went jump like he went from like a tall mountain to a taller mountain? And now he's going down.
Oh.
And of course, I'm talking about our Munchie expert, Nick Sperdone. Nick, how you doing, man? Whoa, he is ready.
So he's our boxing expert too.
He's our boxing
12
expert.
Rounds. Let's go. I didn't hear no bell. How we doing, guys?
This is gonna be so much fun.
No, Nick, is this the first time you saw this movie?
So before yesterday, I've only seen one Rocky, and that was Rocky 1. And then Doug told me before 5 to watch Rocky 4, and I loved it. And he goes, just wait. You haven't seen Rocky 5 yet. So here we are.
Okay, well, can we just back up a second? So you're telling me, as a man, and I'm assuming you're in your 30s, right?
Yeah, mid-30s.
Okay, well, you questioned that. All right, so you're in your 30s. You only saw one Rocky?
Yeah, I've always been more of an Arnold guy. I don't know. I love Terminator and Predator, and I don't know. Stallone always seemed like too I don't know. But no, I like Rocky and Tango and Cash, and you actually forgot. You said that he was naked in 2 movies. He was actually naked in 3 movies. The Specialist. He was in the shower too with Sharon
he was
Stone.
naked in The Specialist. Yeah.
So it seems that when he's naked, it's always in a shower.
I think
so
he's
all
going
3
up
movies
with
he's in a shower.
He's going up with Van Damme to see who could show their buns off like the most. Like,
yeah, but
where else are you naked, Jamie? Usually you're naked in the shower.
Yeah, I know, but like Van Damme, usually like in Bloodsport, he's just rolling his underwear up And you see you see his ass. Like, like at least like Stallone is, naked where he's supposed to be. Like Van Damme is like, he's like waiting for the camera to come to him. And then he goes, oh, here's my scene. And then he rolls it out the
Oh man, there's a lot to unpack with this one. This drama. So let's get right into it. So we talked about it already. You get the recap of 4, the cool moments like hit the one in the middle. And you get all of that greatness. That is that. And then, like Jamie said,
what it's doing though, and I saw this movie. I did see it a few times, and so I did see it recently. So when I was watching it this time, and watching the flashback scenes, they were showing every single hard punch that he was taking.
Yep.
So when the first time I watched the movie, I'm like, all right, they're showing the typical flashback, but what it seemed like they were doing, it was mostly Rocky getting hit hard in the head. I think that was the goal they were going for.
Yeah.
And he was getting just
damage,
destroyed,
pummeled.
Yeah, you told me to watch Rocky 4. I could have just watched the beginning of Rocky 5 and been all caught up. Like, I don't.
Oh, and missed all the training in 4.
That is true. Yeah, and
the montages. Come on, no easy way out.
Carl Weathers. Oh,
the robot. Happy birthday, Paulie.
Oh, the robot. I was waiting for the robot to come back in this one, and I'm like, where is the robot?
They should have had the robot for sale at the estate auction. I would have loved that.
That would have been the best.
If the kid was touching the robot instead of the Rocky motorcycle, why'd you get weird? You can touch a robot.
What do you mean touching the robot? Like maybe
touching, like you touch your dog? What do you mean?
Well, why would he was just going to stand there touching the robot? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, just like he was touching the motorcycle, and the guy said, "Hey, kid, for sale."
No, he was sitting on the motorcycle.
No, he was next to it he was crouched down, putting his hands over the Balboa.
I believe he was sitting on it.
Go to the videotape.
I think he was doing both. He was kind of like caressing it, but
he was. But I mean, this robot was sort of human robot. It talked like a human. So like touching it is kind of like offensive.
He rides the robot in the fourth one. Like he's on it, like riding it.
Oh yeah. Do you think Paulie? I mean, Paulie fell in love with the robot in 4. Do you think he did anything with the robot?
I think so.
With Paulie, when he's drunk, I don't think he knows what's going on.
He's always drunk.
I could see Paulie greasing the gears on that one.
Greasing the gears. That's a good one.
I like that one.
That's a new one.
I gotta say the silver lining, I guess, or the bright point of this movie is Paulie. So we'll get into what happens pretty quick in this movie. He has some funny lines. No,
he does. But look, this is the 5th movie. Paulie should be so far away from this family by now. After watching him from 1 to 5, and you've only seen 2 of them, Nick. Paulie's such a scumbag in every single movie.
Is Paulie just his friend? I didn't know their relationship.
It's Adrian's brother.
I should have watched the first one again because I was like, who is this homeless guy that keeps just following him around? But all right, that makes sense.
So then we get like the Stallone ass in the shower, and then you have Duke, who is Apollo's trainer, and then which I didn't like that they used Duke for 2 different characters.
I would say I was saying the same thing. You
made no sense.
It doesn't make any sense because first of all, how many Dukes do you know? Like it's obviously an odd name, so you can use it twice. Like you can't. Like it just that made no sense. And his last name is Duke.
Yeah,
right? but they called him Duke, so it's just so dumb.
So stupid. So no, and then he's like, "We did it for Apollo. We did it for Apollo." And then that's where you see Rocky screaming for Adrian. Get me Adrian. And then right from this moment, he is Rocky 1, Rocky 2, slow as. So that's just weird. Rocky 1, Rocky 2. He's a boxer. He doesn't have a ton of fights in him yet, and he is talking like this. Like he has brain damage in the first 2 movies. 3 and 4, he has money. He's talking like Tango and Cash. Like he has that kind of like wittiness to him and everything.
So when this happened, does that mean he had brain damage in the first and second one?
It seems that way.
And then it healed by the time we went to 3?
Or he had brain damage and then Apollo hit him some way, click something back in place. Like when you hurt your back and you move the right way and you're like, oh.
So you think like all of a sudden, like he's talking like Rocky, which I'm sure we're going to hear some kind of impression at some point from you, you know. And then like as he got hit, all of a sudden he quickly changed his whole demeanor and his voice.
Dude, when he's mumbling and he's like, Adrian, and then he just goes right into, hey, you know what? I just want to go home, Mick. I just want to go home. And I'm like, wait, dude, not only is he like the mumbling, he doesn't even know, like, it was sad that he wrote this movie and he decided to go this route. Really?
Yeah, but you know what, though? I felt like that would, like, he did call her Mick, and then that, like, kind of thing didn't come into play the rest of the movie. Of like, you know, not knowing who's next to him or who, like, you know, like that's like a far gone. Like when you're calling someone, especially your wife, an old man's name, you know, you're pretty far gone. You know, that's dementia, that's, you know, brain damage, but that doesn't come in play the rest of the movie at all.
You could tell he was in that shower seat with Adrian. He was just like, this is my Oscar right here. This is like, I'm getting like the acting, like move over De Niro and Walken and Brando, like there's a new player in town, because he was like, I can't stop my hands from shaking.
Wow.
That was good.
Yeah, thanks.
Doug, you know what? He just set the bar. He set the bar.
He did set the bar. No, but then the fact that, so there's continuation issues in this movie, because this is the next day. So Talia Shire at this very same time is filming Godfather 3. So she has longer hair than she did in the Rocky 4 at the end of Rocky 4. So she's and you could see it, like when you think about her character, it actually like, works into the character, how like tired she looks from, we'll get to where she's working again.
She acted very well in this movie. I mean, she always is. Like she's, you know, the Rock. So, I mean, yeah. So she had to put her hair in different ways to cover. No,
she just kept her hair the same way. Her hair is long in this movie, like it was in Godfather 3. Okay. So she was filming in Philly, Soundstage LA, Rome.
She was legitimately tired. So she was tired.
Dude. Yeah.
You could see it. You could totally see it.
And
how about the kid?
With his mustache.
Oh my Duke God, with the mustache.
Kid. Yeah. He's like, he turns around and I'm like, your mustache went from like jet black to gray. And like, that was one fight. And the kid, oh my God, his son.
And the kid went from 8 years old to 13.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Because what's the time frame of Russia? Like, how long was he in Russia for?
Not 5 years.
It's the next day.
Yeah. No. When his training, like his whole training, how long was
he wasn't there that long. I think he was only there a few months
or
something.
Oh, a few months. Yeah. Okay. And then he comes home like the next day. So yeah, that was.
He comes back and his son's artist.
Well, even before that, so here's a very big question I have. So, okay, so he's coming back to the United States, and you have a band playing his theme music, right, to him. But that theme music was in our head when he's working out in the first movie. That wasn't like real theme music that was playing every time he was working out.
They broke the fourth wall there.
They did, because he never listened to that. It wasn't a song he listened to. That was us hearing him jogging. He never had headphones on. So they played his theme music that we heard as a real song.
So that wasn't in his Walkman when he was training? Like that wasn't like a cassette tape? But... where's the kid? Where's the kid?
Yeah, that was a little weird. So.
Dude, looking for his kid and just the way he was talking about it. And the first thing he said to his son, he's like, hey, how's the school? Honor roll? Great. And you're like, whoa, dude, what's happening?
Well, how about the fact that he's constantly saying, hey, where's the kid? The kid. Like, where's my son? Where's Robert? No, where's the kid?
Where's the kid? Like
throughout the whole movie, he calls him the kid.
I really liked his jacket, though. He had a really nice, like, bomber jacket. I like that thing a lot.
Oh, the one that gets stolen.
No, the Rocky. Oh wait, was that the one that got stolen? The one that Rocky
I think he had some sort of plane. Well, not the same jacket, but he had a nice bomber like jacket that E from Entourage steals later in the movie.
Oh my God! Well, I was like, wait, he looks like a chubby version of E, and then I looked it up. I'm like, it's E.
That's E from Entourage.
From Entourage.
Oh my goodness. I didn't. You know what? I gotta go back and look now.
Dude, like 2 years later, he was on Unhappily Ever After, the Not Married with Children.
I didn't realize that was him. Holy cow!
He knows how to throw a big
By the way,
hook.
he can take a punch.
Yeah,
he can take a punch.
And he can punch.
And you know what's funny? Like he's kind of big in this movie. You know, obviously next to the other kids, but he's a tiny guy in real life. You know, like so. Like this is like he's shining him over to find like being big for the last time ever.
I think Stallone was just feeding him cheesesteaks up until that like part. He was like Pats or Geno's, Tony Luke's. All right, we got it.
So then we get a familiar face for our sequel watchers is Richard Gant, who was the coroner from Jason Goes to Hell. He eats Jason's brain. Dude, his character at the time with Don King, he was great. I loved him. I didn't like the way everything was working around it. Like obviously with the Rocky and him being a little bit slower, but Richard Grant, great lines. He was awesome.
He was the right hand man that he needed, and he was the yes man. Like he just all he did was like but he played that role like a typical guy back then. You know,
so
the worst actor in this movie.
Now, right?
Yeah, the press conference. Yeah.
Wait, you're saying God, he was the worst actor?
No, the worst actor, Union Kane.
Oh. They made him sound like Michael Spinks when he talked.
Oh,
like,
dude, yes.
It was like embarrassing. Like it was just like, come on, give me a break. Well, either him or the reporter that was the most nasty reporter I think I've ever seen. Like I don't
think
we
get an answer.
Oh my!
Can we get an answer?
You owe us a responsibility. What
right.
responsibility do you owe? That he's retiring? You gotta he was such a pushy guy. Like it was unbelievable.
I've never heard a press conference like that ever. Like,
no.
Oh, how about the one later? We'll get into the one later. That has some cool cameos. Al Bernstein, who was a big time boxing guy for HBO, Showtime, and ESPN, he was in there. But
a reporter would say something like that.
None of this. No.
It was so over. The reporting was so over the top. Like he just came back and did something great for America. Really, and then you're gonna start grilling him. The guy just got beat up, and you owe us the responsibility. I couldn't believe you were saying that.
Oh.
Yeah, he personally ended the Cold War. He ended it.
Yeah.
He knocked him out, and it was over.
And
the Berlin Wall came down,
Gorbachev
all because
was
of Rocky.
Up there. He was clapping Gorbachev. So.
But Richard Gant as the Duke, George Washington, the Duke, and I love when he said, "This is the biggest purse that boxing ever seen, and we're gonna be letting it go in Tokyo."
He's not trying to be Don King, is he?
Only in America.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he said that so many times. Yeah, and then Adrian pops up when all the people he's trying to get the fight going, and he's like, "No, Rocky's over. It's over. He's going to retire." And then Rocky's next line, when they ask the question, he goes, "Hey, I just want to tell everybody that the flight over here it was real nice." And I'm like, oh my God, he's not, where is he? He doesn't even know where he is. That's his next line.
Well, I do find that Adrian somehow every single time pops up. It's like almost she's hiding behind like garbage cans, like when they're in like Philly, and somehow like she's always watching him. And when something's gonna happen, she's always there. She's always there. The whole movie.
She's a shadow. She's Rocky's shadow.
But she's the glue.
Or guardian angel.
Oh,
or his guardian.
But her speech later on is awesome. Like when she yells, when one of the many arguments to have in the middle of the streets, she
for everyone to hear. Yeah.
For everyone to hear when no one's around. Not one person is walking around.
I love Talia Shire though. Like she was great in Godfather. Like Connie.
We get it. She's older. You love her. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Man, Talia Shire.
So then they get back when they're driving home after what just happened. It's very like somber, sad music. Like they're going to a funeral. That's what music is playing by Bill Conti in the background. And then we get, when they get home, he's like, I can't even do my Stallone is not there right now.
Well, I'll tell you why. You're intimidated because Nick
I am a little great
one. Nick did such a great one that you're like, I can't do it.
Yeah. I think once you put me on the spot and you mentioned like I'm waiting for one, I'm trying to make it come out, but it'll come out. No, but the fact that he goes, he basically says like, I never want to leave this house ever again. And that's going to change pretty quick. But he goes, yes. I want to violate you like a parking meter.
Oh.
And you remember, what she says? It'll cost you $0.25.
Yeah. And then he says, Yo, Adrian, where'd you learn a line like that?
Oh. And not for nothing, this was in front of the kid. The kid was right there too,
kid.
right? I mean, like, actually, Paulie and the kid were right there. So they were like really like messing around in front of their family.
Well, he aged like 6 years in like 2 weeks. So like,
well, if you constantly saw your parents fooling around, I think you'd age too.
You grew up too. Now that makes yes, you're right, Nick.
So
I know you're gonna say.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
No, but the fact that right at this point, the kid already knows. He's like, "Hey, Uncle Paulie, does something seem off about my dad?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, no, he took a real beating over there, but he'll bounce back." And then, dude, the next scene when the fact that the first painting that Rocky walks into sun paint, it actually isn't terrible. It actually looks like Stallone fishing.
It's a great painting. However, the second painting that he pulls out of the book is so the kid is that good of an artist to draw Stallone. So I'm assuming what he draws next is pretty accurate to what his teacher looks like. First of all, I never had a teacher that looked like that at all. Did you have a teacher that looked like that?
No, none that were that like well.
And
well, they were. Never mind.
He seemed to know a lot of details about her.
He was into her.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's not his only teacher too, because he says, "Wait till you see my English teacher."
Oh yeah.
So
there's a reason why he grew up so fast.
There's some well-endowed teachers in the Philadelphia or wherever they're from. I don't know, Pennsylvania.
Philly,
I don't know. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Philly.
He goes. He sends his son to the best. Big Boob Academy.
Hugh Hefner Academy.
Big Boob Academy.
Yeah. Hugh Hefner
BBA.
University. BBA graduate.
A's are great, but double D's is why you come here.
Yikes.
That was good, Doug. That was good.
No, but then the fact that just Rocky, I know his son's still pretty young, so like the jokes that he does, but the fact that he's like, "Hey, you think I look like a raccoon?" And his
eyes.
son, yeah, dude, he looks. I know
eyes.
that's probably what he would look like. I know that's what he would look like, but he leaves that, and then he overhears, dude, the plot of this movie.
So before you started talking about something. So his relationship with his son. Now his son is 13 years old, right? He's in middle school. Yeah. It seems like a very childish relationship. Like
now it is because he's slow. He's almost at his brain level.
But like the jokes, it's obviously something he's been doing for a long time with him. Like I feel like, first of all, the kid is pampered, so he's probably a baby, sort of a baby too. But like, I just feel like they treat him younger than he really is. Like, I don't know.
The
like
coins in the ears and
right. Coins in the ears. You're at 7th and 8th grade. You're still gonna fall for the coin in the ears.
You can't grow out of your ears over here. Yeah.
Doug, you're in trouble.
But by the way, the cocktail that I made is actually inspired by Stallone's eyes because they're the same color as his eyes. It's a Stallone Negroni. That's what I basically called it.
Wait, so you made it? So you invented it?
Yeah, but I was watching the movie and I was like, I need something because I saw his eyes and his eyes were like, I'm like, he didn't look like he took like that big of a beating like in the shower. Like, I don't know where those eyes came from.
So when you watch Rocky IV, did you have a White Russian?
I did have a White Russian. Well, I watched Big Lebowski right before that too, so it kind of like bled into one into another.
Yeah. Okay.
But I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I like that. Everybody who wants to drink it, I'll put the recipe in the episode notes so you can check it out. So the plot of this movie is obviously the Rocky part with his brain damage, but the fact that this movie is all about now. In Rocky IV, since Nick just rewatched it, is that in Rocky IV? The papers in the mail, is that in there that Paulie asked Stallone to sign papers? Because that's what this whole scene's about.
I know, correct. So when did that? I was see. This is a huge, to me, a plot hole. So one, how did Paulie get official power of attorney? Because
right.
No, Paulie didn't have it. The accountant got it.
What I meant was that he was able to. He had the access to make the accountant power of attorney. So
he just asked Rocky to sign it. When he got the papers in Russia, he said, "Hey, sign this. the account wants you to do it just in case something happens in Russia. All your money's not frozen.
Doesn't happen like
I don't remember that.
It doesn't have to be notaried. It doesn't have to be in front of someone else. Like, you're telling me someone could just sign off like that, and then you lose that everything that's yours is gone. Like, I can't. Like, there has to be. It doesn't seem right.
Shady shit does happen like that. I'm not saying that could be perfect, but the fact that that's what happened, and then Paulie's like, "Don't make me look out to be the bad guy," and he's just like screaming at her, "No, you are the bad guy. You
he
didn't
was
look at this
blaming
people."
Adrian for almost bringing it up to Rocky. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna start this now?"
He ends the argument by saying, "I need liquor," and just runs walks away.
Okay, again, now this is 5 movies in, and I said this before. Now, Paulie has been a troublemaker in every single movie. Every movie. He's basically abusing Adrian in the first 2 movies.
Oh.
Nonstop. He's, every movie. So at what point do you say, all right, you know what, Adrian, we got to kick him out? He basically, he mooches off them left and right. Like, now you lose everything. He's still going to be part of your life? Like, at this point, he should have been out already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time to cut ties.
But they also talk about the fact that he hasn't paid taxes, right? In 10 years.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yep. No. Yeah. So when he goes to his attorney and you hear all the stuff his accountant did, he hasn't paid the taxes, the mortgage on the house. And she's like, "Mortgage? No, we paid out that house." He goes, "No, but he actually took out another mortgage. He tried to use that money to invest in stocks. It failed. And then that's why you have no money." So the fact that this guy did so much, and now they were on the streets.
In how much time, though? Because this all happened while he's in Russia.
In 3 months, 4 months?
It's a lot. It's a lot. Of all this transaction to happen that fast, I think, in 3 months.
Yeah.
Have we ever met this guy in any of the movies?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is just their way of obviously starting, to bring. I think what Rocky or Stallone was trying to do with this movie is, he did everything he could in 4 movies, right? I mean, how many bad guys is he gonna? So he wanted, the first one was the first 2 were dramas, right? Mm-hmm. Even though he does have to fight at the end of the drama, so I think this was supposed to be his ender. He wasn't supposed to have Rocky Balboa. He wasn't supposed to have Creed. So this was supposed to be his ender. So I think he wanted to go back to the roots of.
Yeah.
But to get the way he does it, it just doesn't make sense.
So dumb.
I mean, it gets even dumber. We'll get there. But
well, how about that? The fact that this attorney, the accountant, screws over everything, the house, but he doesn't do anything with Mickey's gym. So all they do have left is Mickey's gym. That's it.
Well, okay, but is there gym? Is there a gym there? Because when he goes there, it's pretty much like a bomb
exactly.
Off.
Yeah, so, it looks like a bomb went off. Next day, he's training. It's filled with people.
I was questioning what was the time frame, because during that time the kid just started school also, just started school, so it had to be like a week, if that, right? Between. So that gym looked like it was never touched. Like, it looks like the old gym within a week.
Yeah.
No, so here's what I was thinking about, because later in the movie when we meet Tommy Gunn in a lot of the fights, I was trying to think of the time frame, but remember, Rocky 4, isn't that around when they're in Russia? It's not around like Christmas or anything. Was there anything that was happening in that movie? I think it was, right?
Because the kid, I think when he's watching him, he was watching a fight on TV, the kid, I think, right? Wasn't that the one he's jumping up and down on his bed?
Yeah.
I think there is a Christmas tree or something. I think it's Christmas time.
So good, okay.
Yeah,
so that establishes where it starts, because it's basically after New Year's when they get back, they lose all the money, and then they move into a dump.
Yeah, but you think about
downtown Philadelphia.
Before he even starts training, he sees the gym. The kid goes to school. He meets the punks. We'll talk about, but then he meets the punks again after the gym's already established. So that has to be only a couple days.
I know.
Well, it makes sense when.
And where do you get the money from?
Yeah.
To fix it up.
Yeah.
He had to have something. No, I know. That made no sense.
The robot.
Maybe it was from
the only thing that makes sense is he sold the robot. That's the only thing. He got $400,000 for that thing, and.
Or how about Paulie was selling the coffee mugs for $10 that had Rocky's lips on them, and the one guy goes, "I'll give you $5." Okay,
Well, he goes, how do I know it's legit? He goes, what did he say? Look at the marks here or something? Or
Yeah.
say it's something like look at a lip stain or something. What?
So before we get to the next scene, here's the line there, because Paulie has a lot of lines. He goes, I thought I was doing smart business. I ain't no tomato can that you can kick around.
He's turning it around on them.
Oh,
the way
he's an alcoholic sociopath. Yeah.
Was he drunk at this point?
He's always drunk.
I was just, you know what? After I said that, I go, is there a time he's sober in any of these movies?
No, even during the fights, he looks drunk, glassy-eyed. He's always like...
No, even during the training, when Rocky pulls him in 3, I think it's 3, when he pulls him in the water. No, it's 4. No, it's 3. When he pulls him in the water, he's drinking beer in the pool area. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right.
So then you have he goes to the doctors because this is Rocky's like, I only get Adrian, just 2 more fights. And then they go to the 2 doctors. Funny, the one doctor... really like one or 2 lines.
I know him.
He was Sid Farkas on Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I knew his face and I was like, where do I know that guy from? I was like, he looks kind of like Tim Conway a little bit, but I'm like, wait, no. Oh, Sid Farkas.
They also seem like the most shady doctors. Like, we won't let anything get out.
Right,
like,
right.
I mean, like, you knew, if you'd never seen the movie, you knew. Then there's no way they're not going to let this escape.
Oh, wouldn't it have been funny if one of the new, because right after that, when she's like, no boxing commission's going to approve him, right? And they're like, no, not at all. You guys aren't going to tell anybody. Yeah. And then we cut to the newspaper headlines and it's like Rocky retires, Champ retires, Rocky estate sale. Would have been great if one of them, and there was like anonymous tip from doctors.
Rocky has severe brain damage.
Okay, so obviously their mansion was a lot of money. Couldn't they have sold, like, when they sold that? Couldn't they just paid off a lot of what they owed or whatever? Like,
no, because if the guy has another mortgage out on it, you don't know what kind of mortgage he could have done. He could have mortgaged. He could have refinanced. He could have. He could have.
All right.
So this is where this movie, really, this is where it jumps the shark. Fully jumps the shark when he's in the attic, and Adrian's looking for him, and he's Rocky 1. He's in the same outfit as Rocky 1.
I agree with you 100%. This to me,
jacket.
Not only the leather, you know what? Listen, you can go to your attic and you take out old clothes, you try them on, but the fact that he throws his gloves on, right?
Yeah.
No, that's his hitman or whatever, his roughing up gloves.
Yeah, when he's the enforcer,
shark. Right. So I can see the hat. Look, as a joke, but not to wear it all the time now. And, because of his slurs, his speech now, and now the jacket, it's like, what are you doing with this? Like, you become old Rocky? Like, it's just so dumb. Like, they didn't need to go there. They really didn't.
And they have a box of Before We Were Famous, because in there, they have Adrian's glasses.
He puts them on, or takes them off.
Okay. Also, his jacket and hat fit him very well, and he's a lot different than he looked like in the first movie.
Yeah.
When he wore that. So I don't think it would fit anymore.
Yeah, his brain probably swelled up from all the damage that he took from Drago.
Probably.
I'm surprised.
And she's even questioning, at this point, she's questioning it because she's like, Rocky, what are you doing? Why are you wearing those old things? He's like, yeah, they felt good. I put them on. So it's like, okay. And then he goes to the bar. He goes to Artie's bar.
And he starts smoking again. So automatically,
yes.
what she does in the first 2 movies. So what you're talking about, so I think you said it. He legitimately turns into Rocky 1. That's really what he's everything about Rocky 1.
Everything.
And they prove it by going to the priest also. Like everything. They really.
I did love that the priest was in it. I did love that random.
We're not there yet.
But. Yeah, we're not there yet.
No, but it's just ridiculous.
But that seems funny.
So Rocky goes to the bar. He's drunk. He sees the Mighty Mix. The cool thing in this movie is the flashbacks and the fact that Burgess Meredith really is still alive at this point. So some of these scenes are reshot, and I have talk about one cool scene later, but just the lines, and you get like the chills from he's like, "You're a bulldozer, an Italian bulldozer."
Well, I didn't see the new Rocky IV director's cut. But from what I heard, they took that speech, parts of that speech, and put it in Rocky IV when he's fighting the Russian. So he used that as part of his motivation to beat the Russian Ivan Drago was Mickey's speech.
Oh,
because
nice.
Because it was kind of wasted here. I mean, like, yeah, when you're watching it the first time, you still don't know what to expect from this movie, so you're like, oh, this is awesome. It's going to motivate him, but it kind of falls flat here. It works better later on. But yeah, so he used it in the director's cut. He put it in there, and he was. I think Mickey was like 80 something years old for this scene, and they brought him back to film it. Like this is like one of his last things he's ever filmed.
No, he was in Grumpier Old Men, right? That was 94, 95. He was in one of the. He was definitely in Grumpier.
He was in the first one.
Or both.
He was in the first. He was in a. Was he?
Yes, that's like 92-ish. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just remember him being very horny in the produce section at the supermarket in Grumpy Old Men, and he's talking about the fruit, and he's like, "You want to." He asked the girl to take her. He wants to take her to Hawaii. And he goes, the island wanna lay me? And like, he's just saying all these sexual innuendos. But,
yeah.
So then we talked about him moving back to that shithole West Philly, which if you're from Philadelphia and you're listening, I'm sorry, West Philadelphia is a shithole. I've stayed there before. It's terrible.
So
yeah.
I know that's where he had the place, but knowing what kind of place it was to begin with, knowing where the kid, like, they couldn't find any other place to move. Like, they had to go to the exact same spot where they basically, raised the kid, grew up, where he was. Like, I feel like that was bad parenting right there. It was.
And that kid went from Big Boobs Academy to, I don't even know what school that is.
To Fight Club? Like the fenced-in Fight Club?
That ain't no Hogwarts.
No, but Rocky knew it. I mean, he was nervous for his kid, so, like, why would you do that to him? Like, you could have moved that. You could have moved to Jersey. Like, you could have moved somewhere else. And they go right to the old place, knowing what a crap hole
Did they own that still? They didn't mention that when
Paulie
the attorney.
Paulie did.
Oh, he did. Okay, you said you guys still own that. Okay, and
yes.
Paulie still owned his shithole place too.
For a long time I thought they were living together. I didn't realize that Paulie.
You're telling me Paulie would leave that mansion at night, drunk as hell, just to go sleep in his shit stained master's bed?
Why else did he hold on to it?
That's true.
He probably used that because whoever was left at the bar, the last woman that was left there, he brought him back to the hole.
Oh yeah.
Without a doubt.
Wouldn't it be great if Paulie was really rich? Like he invested his money very well, and he's rich, and he just doesn't want to share.
What if it wasn't really the accountant? It was really Paulie.
It was Paulie. That would have been the best.
And he's blaming the accountant. And it's like a Usual Suspects.
Yes, I was totally going to say that.
Paulie's not really drunk in these movies.
Yeah,
he's faking it the whole time.
Whoa.
He like peels off like a Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible mask, and it's like
now you get it crazy.
I don't know. I'm just going.
No, you're
the accountant. The accountant went missing.
Yeah.
You know what? This could have been like a thriller. This is Paulie's laughing, with a cigar in his mouth, and like I win. You always thought I was the biggest dirtbag, and look at me now.
I am the biggest dirtbag. You always thought I was the biggest dirtbag? This confirms I am the biggest dirtbag.
He's like, I was always living in your shadow, Rock. Now it's my turn.
See, it could have been this, no Tommy gun, and then Paulie fights Rocky at the end.
Yeah, Tommy gun really.
And then he knocks his head off like Jason Takes Manhattan.
Listen,
that's
Paulie
Paulie
can take a punch.
He can take a punch, yeah.
And he's got balls of steel, so,
Yes.
Yeah, he's not afraid to say whatever.
So then we talked about what Jamie mentioned earlier is the big theme of the movie. Adrian, always there. George Washington Duke calls the house, trying to convince Rocky to fight. She answers.
What time is he calling? Because she's like in her nightgown. It looks like it's probably like 11, 12 o'clock at night. And Duke's harassing her. Like,
do you hear that, Mrs. Balboa? Do you hear that?
He's like bullying her. Like he was bullying her.
Yeah, he's a rat.
He was preying on them. He was used.
Oh,
yeah,
he totally was.
And then this is where the kid catches his dad smoking near when they're walking to school, and his kid asks him, like, why do you do that? And he's like, oh, I used to do it when I'm younger, and I'm like, why? How does this change in days?
And why all of a sudden you start smoking? Like it just like there was no need. Like he wasn't like it just like he's too dumb to be stressed. Like he probably has no clue what's going on. You know, like he probably thinks he's on like a vacation at the new house. Like he doesn't realize that he lost everything.
It's all in his mind.
You know, so like, what would make him smoke again? Because he's wearing the hat and it just goes together. Like it just makes no sense. And he wears that hat the rest of the movie.
Whole movie.
It's glued on his head.
It really is.
I was trying to find it on Amazon, but I couldn't find it in time. So,
you know who he looks like, and kind of now. Obviously, he doesn't sound slow like that, but he's like very Ed Norton-ish from Honeymooners. Like the hat and I just put two and two together because even the way he describes it, when he talks about Santa Claus later in the movie, I was like, why didn't they cut this part out? But even when he's talking to his kid, who is probably frightened already because he went to Big Boobs Academy and now he's going to like the hood, and he's like, you're a school spot, but you got to watch out for scams. There's scams. And I'm like, wait, where are there scams in school?
Listen, those Philadelphia
little
streets,
do we
man.
know that the kid was teaching Rocky.
He was. He was using really big words. He was like, oh, you mean how? No, I think he corrected his dad.
He said deception.
Deception, yeah. Rocky's head exploded thinking of that word.
Multiple syllables.
Oh.
Yeah,
how about that asshole from your hometown that, you know, something bad happens, like your ex breaks up with you, they see you at the bar, be like, hey, too bad Jessica cheated on you, asshole. Like, how about the guy that walks up to me and says, hey, Rock, tough break. It's like, fuck you. Rocky should have knocked that guy out.
Yeah. Well, are we at the point when, I think so, when we start hearing our first song in the movie? A rap song?
The songs are, the rap song, but the other title song, the actual, like, Rocky.
Go for it. You know what? Okay, so we might as well talk about the songs. So, like, all these songs in the movie, first of all, had that cheesy, like, I know hip hop was starting to get big there, but, like, these seemed like very 80s lame rap songs, first of all. Honestly, it reminded me of the Turtle Power. Like, some of the songs.
Yeah.
Ninja rap, yeah.
Yeah, Ninja rap. And it was just like, first of all, Rocky movies are known for the songs, like the soundtracks, like, you know, all the songs. And this movie was just it kind of just blew it away. Like it ruined the legacy of this music from Rockies.
Yeah,
because I think at one point they started either the Eye of the Tiger went into like a mix. Like I'm like, all right, you're gonna hear how and then it like went to this rappy like a rap mix. I'm like, oh gosh, like yeah. Ridiculous.
After the soundtrack of 4, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for 5.
Well, that's what it is. 4 is one of the best soundtracks of all time.
Oh, it's
I have it on. I have it on vinyl.
Good.
Oh,
yeah,
easily. So how do you go from that and you're on top to this? The music is just horrendous.
So crap.
Horrendous. Yeah.
And then right at this point when Rocky Jr. is going to school for the first time, this is the third time that Rocky does the, hey, what's that in here? Some growing in here, just to give him lunch money. The third time already that he did it.
Okay, so he's going to school for the first time, right? So he sneaks through a gate to get into school and goes right to the playground. Like, they don't sign him in. Like, they don't go to the front door. Like, he just drops him off. Like, the kid doesn't have a schedule. He doesn't. No. He sneaks through a ripped gate.
What? Just walks into a random classroom, takes a seat, and goes, what are we learning about?
You know what? The kid's probably not even scheduled to go to school there. Rocky's like, yeah, just dropped him off and just find your way in there.
He's actually supposed to be at St. Peter's Prep down the street.
That's why the kids all look at him funny. They're like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
He shouldn't be here. So then we get Tommy Gunn, Paulie, and Rocky go to the gym, and I gotta. Why is Paulie walking around with this? The gym is not big. Is he peeping? He has this around his neck for the whole movie.
Wait, you think he's not a peeper? If you had to describe what a peeper looked like to somebody, I think you describe Paulie.
Homeless peeper who shits his pants in the park.
Who wears like a giddy tee, or a dirty
the
undershirt,
same giddy tee
all the time,
the whole week.
You know, who he looks like he hasn't had a shower in weeks.
He does one load of laundry a month, and that's it. That's it.
He clearly wears the same clothes over and over again. I mean, he looks like a mess from Rocky 1, and not for nothing. Like, you see the transition of Rocky and Adrian from 2 to 3. Like, there's like a 9-day difference. Like they're like movie stars in 3. Like she doesn't look like a geek anymore. He's like, like he's like very well, and Paulie almost digresses. Like he almost goes backwards.
He gets worse.
He gets worse. Like, it's like, doesn't make sense. Like, he had all this money now with Rocky. You'd think they would clean him up a little bit. No, they don't clean him up.
Or that was part of his plan, his deception, in order to trick Rocky that this guy's still a mess. But the whole time he's funneling the money from Rocky's account into, So
you think if you go in his closet, he's got like a bunch of like tuxedos and like, suits?
He's got like James Bond suits in there and stuff. Yeah.
You said it best from 2 to 3. They turn into movie stars. Remember in 2, he can't even read the ad for the deodorant commercial, right? And then
he couldn't read at all. And he says that. He goes like, and the guy makes fun of him. He goes, "You can't read." Like, and then on 3, he's on the Muppet Show.
Yeah,
he's on the Muppet Show in 3.
Yeah, they show you a clip of him punching. But if you go to I think it's on Disney Plus. There's an episode of Stallone, and he's on there as Rocky. Oh yeah.
And they put that into the movie. That's actually kind of awesome.
They show you because they show you a bunch when he's like doing all the fights and like they're showing you a bunch of clips of like talk shows and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that was one little clip of him.
You got to watch 3 now.
Yeah, you got to watch 3 now. Well,
I'll just watch the Muppet Show.
I was gonna say he's gonna go on Amazon now and buy the Muppet series.
Oh, it's on Disney Plus.
I don't it is. That saved you.
It did. Amazon's getting a lot of my money there.
So then we get Tommy Gunn. Tommy Gunn's waiting outside the gym that is closed, right? We think it's closed. It looked like it was closed when he was there like the night before. But Tommy Gunn comes all the way from Nebraska. He introduces himself as an amateur boxer. Oklahoma.
Is he from Oklahoma?
Well, Oklahoma. He's 45-1. 45-1 at the age of 20?
It's a lot of fights.
Do you fight that much?
A lot of fights.
Well, he probably fought his dad about 30 of them.
Oh, he did say that.
He's undefeated.
So, that's why. But how does he find Rocky?
The same way
How
Adrian
did he find
Rocky's
location? No, he knows exactly where he lives. He knows exactly where he's going to be. How does he know that? Rocky doesn't know where he's going to be.
He's following Adrian, who's following Rocky. That's the only reason he knows.
He's following the shadow.
When I first saw him, I was like, "That's fat Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec right there," but with a mullet. Like that's as soon as I saw him, I was like, "Oh, Chris Pratt's in this movie."
He's huge. He's huge.
He's a big dude.
He falls backwards and he knocks down like 7 people in the street. Like he's huge.
He was a monster. Like he was really 20 at the time.
Yeah,
he was really 20 at the time. I'm like, that's a 20-year-old man. Like
he only lost
towering
3 fights.
Over Stallone.
He only lost 3 fights.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
He was good. Yeah. But I mean, so seriously though, like, how would you find him? And
I would guess in the newspapers when they talked about the estate sale, maybe in somewhere, I don't know exactly, but maybe he knew like the only thing that was left was Mighty Mix, and he just waited there.
Yeah, but don't forget, at the time there was no Mighty Mix. So like, and he was literally waiting there, knowing that Rocky's going to be coming out.
Yeah, no.
He did say he read all. He did say he read all about him. He knew everything. He was like stalking him. He goes, "I know your first fight with Apollo Creed, and I know."
But everybody knew about Rocky. That's not like it's not that. I mean, Rocky was like the hope of everybody. So I think like knowing his past is one thing, but knowing what's going on in his life now is just weird that he would know that.
They should have just showed like where he was like staying, like the little like alleyway, and it's just pictures of like Rocky all over the fence or the wall.
What if Paulie hired Tommy?
Ooh.
And that was part of the plan.
Ooh.
But you know what? To be honest, he could have just went to Philadelphia and be like, "Hey, do you guys know where Rocky Balboa is?" Everybody knew that Rocky was back. Every person he walked past,
they were waiting outside
cops,
his house.
Everyone. Yeah. So you know what? He probably just asked one person, like, "Oh, Rocky, he lives over there."
Thanks. This past 10 minutes, I was just talking about how it's impossible to find him, and you just basically cleared it up in 1 minute.
I cleared it up pretty quick.
On East 3rd Street.
So then we have George Washington Duke. He pops up again. He's another shadow. He's always there randomly. And then Adrian's behind him. So maybe she's following him because right away he pops up and says, "Hey, champ, we got to get you back in the ring. We got to get you back in the ring." And Adrian's like, "No, he's not going to fight."
It is
very running out of the fish market.
No, it's a pet store.
Oh, it's a pet store?
A pet store.
Because
he says you're back to working where she used to work, and it was a pet store. So, which they just happened to have a spot open for her to work there. Ridiculous. But that is very funny. Duke always pops up everywhere, and then Adrian pops up right afterwards. So there's definitely someone's following someone, and it just. Can you imagine if you had they zoomed out and you see Rocky walking, and then you see Duke slowly walking around and then behind Duke you see Adrian walking behind Duke.
Adrian with the newspaper. No, but it's true. And it almost makes me feel like in the beginning of this movie when Rocky was in the shower shaking, it's almost like he's in a coma this whole movie because the fact that he goes back to something comfortable to him, being back where he grew up and it all started. And I found it so weird that Adrian went back to the pet store. I know it's full circle in a way, but it's a sad full circle.
Oh, it is. And I think, again, especially since she was kind of annoyed at him to going back to his style and why you're wearing his clothes. So for her to repeat history also kind of contradicted why she was mad at him,
Exactly.
But she did say it is across the street from Mick's. And so she said, "I want to be close to you."
That is true. Yeah.
So she, I think that was, again, I don't think it was a matter of, it was only because she has to keep an eye on Rocky. She treats him like a kid the rest of the movie.
She's like a guardian, it's his guard.
It is a guardian.
She's his guardian, yeah.
But she does embarrass him a little bit a few times. So.
Because his line, George Washington, he goes, "I'll make you so much money you could swim in it." And
you know how to swim,
right from there, and then, and then from there, she says, "No, he's done." And he's like, "I'll get you, Balboa." And then he leaves, and then he's embarrassed. He's like, "Why you got to do that to me, Adrian?" Because he was totally shut down. What just happened?
Well, I think Duke had a very, not very, but a similar personality to Clubber Lang. Clubber Lang was always there insulting. He's always and talking bad about the wife. And I think Duke was doing the same thing. He had the same mentality of, listen, I'm just going to insult and I'm going to keep pushing, until you say yes. And I think, if you've never seen the movie, at this point you're thinking all right, you know what? Rocky's going to go in the ring. He just can't take it anymore. He misses it. It's all he has. He's a fighter. Adrian, I'm a fighter. That's what I was born to do. So I think that's where everybody's all right, hey, the movie's going to get good now. No, it doesn't go that
way. Nope. Still waiting.
And then the next scene is where we kind of mentioned earlier, E from Entourage. He knocks out Rocky Jr. for his lunch money and his jacket within seconds of meeting him.
And you know what? We say this all the time. We say this about these movies. One, I've never seen bullies like this, at that age, that are constant. And the way they look dorky. His friend looked totally, the one that runs away later.
His friend looked like a fat Edward Furlong.
He looked like a fat emo kid. You're right. He did. And it's so is that really what they always do that, but it doesn't make sense.
And they're so personal too. They're like, "Oh, your dad's a punk," calling out Rocky.
But and they use the typical "give me your lunch money."
Right.
They use that in every movie. Give me your lunch money. It just so
"Oh, stupid. You're hungry? Eat this." And he punches him in the face.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Oh my gosh. And then we talked about when they go inside, we mentioned earlier, Paulie's selling the cups.
Before you even go further. Yeah. So the girl's there also during this time. She was hanging out with them when the kid came over. Is that what her name? Yeah. Jules?
I think
but do you remember what she says to him later on? So she's there with...
Yeah. When they're walking?
Yeah, when they're walking. I was like, are you kidding me? Because she goes...
How old are they?
They had to be... Well,
13, I think.
Yeah, Oh,
okay,
no, they're not in high school. I think they're younger than that.
That was high school. 13's not high school, but...
15 is not high school? Yes, it is.
13.
13.
Oh, I think they said 15. Yeah, they're probably 7th and 8th grade. But first of all, she was there when they stole his jacket and beat him up because she was friends with them. And then she goes, "Oh, you look cold. Are you cold?" They just took your jacket. Your friends just took my jacket. You're going to ask me if I'm cold? I look cold?
Yeah.
He's so prissy about it too. He goes, "It must be the weather."
Yeah. Well, he was a little naive because then he puts his hand out to shake her hand.
Yeah. But yeah, she's very forward. She's super forward. She gives him the whole eye down. She goes, "Oh, for an Italian, you got a pretty nice butt." And I'm like,
that was weird.
That was very weird for that.
She stopped and stared.
There was no reason for that line. Like, it really, like, the scene was over. Like, they became friends and that's it. Like, that line in there was just like, it just didn't make sense. Like, it was just like, yeah.
Stallone's writing that on the typewriter, hammering the keys, and he's like, "Oh, wait, she should make a comment about my son's butt." Weird.
And that is his real son, so it's like...
Yeah, it is, yeah. Oh, my gosh. And then we get Tommy Gunn. He shows up to the gym. He just wants to fight. They let him go. And the fact that you look at Tommy Gunn, right?
Oh.
He's a monster. The other guy looks like a backup center from the 1970s NBA. And Rocky goes, "Hey, take it easy on him." And "Hey, where's your headgear?" "I don't need headgear." And he takes a few shots and then beats the shit out of the guy.
Pummels him. Now, first of all, so anyone could just walk in and say, "All right, let me fight." All right, get in the ring. Like I would assume there's like something you got to sign in case you get hurt. Like, no, especially he's not even wearing headgear. Like, I would think there would be protocol. I don't know anything about you, but I'm going to put you in the ring with someone. I don't even know if you've ever fought before. And, start really boxing with somebody. It doesn't work that way.
I love that Paulie is just seeing dollar signs. Like, he's like, "Oh man, this is an opportunity here."
Yeah. Within seconds.
Meanwhile, he's like punching the guy in the face. Like, the guy's not even trying to block himself. He's just getting punched in the face.
And they kept telling him to stop, and he wouldn't stop. He kept hitting the guy hard.
Definitely has some rage issues.
You know what? The punch. I would say the punches that he lands in this movie are. I know he's a boxer, but I mean, he does, like, they look real. Like, he's punching hard.
Violent.
Yeah.
He got tips from George Lazenby when Lazenby punched the guy in the face in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. You heard about that,
just
right?
rubbing it in that we can't get George.
Sorry,
I'm
trying. Well, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping, George, please, if you're listening.
Why are you connecting him to him?
Oh, because when George actually punched a guy and broke his nose on the set of James Bond, and they were like, he's like, "Oh, I'm not really supposed to punch him."
Oh.
Wow. I'm just trying to draw a loose connection to get George Lazenby.
He's a Bond fan.
Wasn't Tommy Morrison's father someone famous?
Jim Morris.
I thought.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just.
No, I want to say, like, he was related to. I want to say John Wayne or someone. Or he's related to someone famous. Or maybe it's not John Wayne. I'm almost positive he's related to someone famous. He's going to Google it right now.
Right, Nick, you look that up. We'll go to so Tommy wants Rocky to manage him. Rocky right away says no, and then throughout, even when he eventually says yes, he's like, "I ain't no good at business. I just know boxing." Like, that's all he knows, and that's what kind of, like, I guess, screws him over. But then Tommy is waiting for Rocky again at the end of the day at the bar, just waiting for him.
At what point do you find this creepy? Like, he's constantly stalking them. Like, he's not like, at what point where you got, like, you say, "All right, enough is enough. Stop bothering me."
No, I know. Or you look at it like, this guy's hungry. This guy really wants it, and he's good.
Well, you don't know how good that other. Well, I like how they said, "Take it easy on him."
I know, and that guy looked anyway like this. You're like,
yeah. All right, so you have an answer?
Yeah. So his nickname is the Duke, Tommy Morrison, and that was based.
Oh, what? There's 3 Dukes in this movie.
Duke.
Well, in real life.
So on set, somebody said, "Hey, Duke," and Richard Gant turns, and Tommy Morrison turns at the same time.
Well, I mean, on set, there's only one real Duke. It would be Tommy Morrison.
But maybe he thinks that they're staying in character. Richard Gant, always into character. He's always letting it go in Tokyo.
But basically, it's on the claim that he was the grandnephew of John Wayne.
Okay, see?
Wow.
I heard that a long time ago, so interesting.
Look at that on the internet.
See?
It's on the internet, so it's got to be true.
So he's our Google expert, too. Munchie, Google, and boxing.
I love it. So then Rocky, his one thing he says, "What if I don't do no good for you?" That's what he says. And then in seconds, he brings him home for dinner. And then how about the story that Tommy tells when they talk about the bully, when Rocky Jr. is talking about his first day at school. And Tommy...
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
So before we even get to Tommy, so let's talk about the kid first. First of all, his name is Robert, right? So does that mean that Rocky's name is Robert?
Yeah.
Well, George Washington Duke actually says it. He goes, Mr. Rocky, Robert Rocky Balboa. He says it when he gets out of the limo.
So
that was
imagine the titles of the movie said Robert 3.
Robert 3.
Robert 3.
Robert 4, Behind the Iron Curtain.
How dumb. I mean, I understand why they changed it to Rocky, but is Rocky that's the name of Robert? Like, are people who name Robert called Rocky?
I guess so. I'm sure Stallone did his research on it.
Have you ever known a Robert before?
Have I known a Robert before? Yes, I've known Roberts.
Okay, so did anyone call him Rocky?
Not the ones that I've known, but I know Richards. Not everybody is called Dick.
Well, I think that's old school stuff. I think Dick for Richard is old school because I think Robert. A lot of people call them Bobby. Like Bobby and Robert are like the same name. But Rocky, I never knew it was like a.
I never knew Rocky.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't even know I thought his name was Rocky until this movie.
Yeah.
But okay, so anyway, back to the kid. Paulie was very funny in this scene. Do you remember what he said?
Oh. That's when they're for the sleepover?
No,
with the bully.
Well, the bully, right? So Paulie goes, I take a bat across his head.
Take a baseball bat across his face.
He goes, how should we solve this? And Adrian, he goes, can you train me, Dad? And Adrian's like, we want to teach our kids, or Tommy, we want to teach our kids not to fight with their hands, or son, not to fight with their hands.
Yeah.
And Paulie at least 3 times says, I still take a bat across his head.
Yeah. Tommy says, what does he say about balloons? He
said his mom told him to pretend you're a bully when he had a bully when he was a kid. Pretend he's a balloon. If you hit him hard enough, he'll pop. And Adrian says, Tommy, we want to teach our son to use his brain and not use his fists. And I'm like, I don't know. That doesn't work all the time.
Wouldn't you want to teach your son at least defense? Because you can teach boxing. You don't have to teach the offensive part. You can teach the defensive part. So you'd rather your son just keep getting beat up. I mean, it would take my son one time to get beat up. I'm like, all right, we're gonna learn how to defend. Like, you're not gonna just throw it aside because it's gonna happen again. So
exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to Tiger Schulman.
If Morrison is getting beat up by a bully, how big is this bully? Because he's 19 years old. In the movie. So had to be like 2-3 years ago. I'm sure he was still pretty big. So this bully had to be pretty big.
Well, I think he said he was in elementary school, but I don't think he was being bullied 3 years before, because that would be like Andre the Giant would have to pick on him, because that's how just massive he is. But how about within seconds after this, Rocky, they're going back and forth? Because how about Rocky when Tommy goes, my dad, he used to beat on me, so he was probably my first 30 knockouts or my first 30 fights. And then Rocky, which is like the shittiest comment, he goes, hey, at least your old man was still around. I'm like, oh my God. You're saying you'd rather have your dad beat you?
I was going to say, I think at that point, you'd rather your father not be around.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, but, listen, in Rocky's defense at this moment, like even leading to this point, this is the first time he's able to talk boxing, just feel boxing in a long time. So I think his mind's already scrambled eggs. So at this point, like, he's just like, he's cooking now. So I just think he just feels good.
Wait, you're saying a long time? It's been 3 fucking days since Russia.
Yeah, but when you have scrambled eggs and brains, it feels like 3 months.
So within seconds, he goes, I'll be your manager. You can take my kids' room in the basement. And hey, can you stay with your Uncle Paulie? And then, dude, Paulie's line to the kid when he goes, I'm not changing sheets. Kid, does your plumbing leak?
But the fact that he so quickly gave up his son's room, like in seconds, like he didn't even say, all right, to a stranger. He didn't even say, listen, do you mind if Tommy's, he doesn't have a place to stay? No, he goes, yeah, you can have my son's room. He can go somewhere else.
Earlier in the day, he didn't want anything to do with this guy. And then next thing you know, he's offering him his basement. And he's like, yo, Adrian's going to cook for you.
He kind of lost his mind with Tommy.
Dude, he even went downstairs when he was in the basement, showing everything down there and showing the bag, and he gets lost for a second down there. Oh no, he says the wrong name of shit. Who is he talking about? Rocky's telling a story, and he says the wrong name, and then
Marciano.
Oh, that's what it was. Yep. Yeah.
About the necklace.
What did he say?
Yep.
Yeah, but I don't. What did he say?
He said a name wrong, and then Tommy corrected him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And I'm like, "Wow, they're really playing this brain damage." It was like something really simple, and yeah, no, he kicked his son out in seconds.
And well, not even that. His son built a shrine to Rocky down there. He spent his time down there, which looked amazing. Like, looked so awesome. And for a second, he was excited, and he's like, "Kid." He doesn't even call him by his name. I don't think he calls him Robert at all. He
doesn't know his name.
He probably doesn't know his name. You're right. And he's excited for a second. He goes, "Oh, it's great. All right, can you leave now?" Like, it was such a quick, like he was like thankful, and then like, "All right, goodbye." You know,
I got to talk to Tommy real quick. Can you get out of here?
Yeah,
In 1 week,
Rocky becomes a real dick.
In 1 week, he's talking in front of his kid about violating his mom like a parking meter, and then he's kicking him out of his brand new room.
And I would say for the next like 40 minutes, he's such a horrible dad, a horrible dad.
Unbelievable. So then Rocky and Tommy start training, gets the blessing from the same priest. You know what was weird? I was like, he's got to come to the window, but I thought that was pretty cool because the cinematographer, Stephen Poster, our guest last week, it was the same shot. So it was so cool having that familiar moment of seeing that priest come to the window, bless him, and then Rocky's like, okay.
and he goes, "I love when he does that." He said that every time he does that. And the director of this movie is the one that directed the first Rocky.
It's John Avildsen who did Karate Kid, yeah.
But right, so Stallone directed 2, 3, and 4, I think. And then he went back to the original because he wanted to go back to the roots of the first movie. So, which again has a lot of the drama to it, but no boxing.
John fired Stephen Poster from this movie.
Yeah.
I just love how he actually got the priest to the window, though. He's like screaming at the top of his lungs, and he goes, "Oh, I don't want to bother you. I don't want to bother you or anything."
No, but that's how he does it in the first and second one. He does it in both movies. Right before the fight, he would always do that. And he doesn't understand a word the priest is saying.
I just love from Rocky's view up, though. You see like the church, like you see the priest high up, but you see like barbed wire, like at the bottom of the shot, where you're like, is he in a prison? Like where is he? But yes,
it's West Philadelphia. It is a prison.
Born and raised.
And the priest looks exactly the same as he does in 1.
He does,
it's the same guy, and he looks exactly the same.
Yeah. So then we get Tommy's first fight. This is where the first montage happens. You get a little bit of that music coming in, the rap, 80s rap-ish music. And then I love that rock. Yeah.
I was going to say, so in this fight, he's even doubting himself at this point. Tommy, because he's getting his ass kicked.
Yep.
So
where are they fighting to? Because the first shot is Jesus, and
they're fighting where in Rocky 1. This is where Rocky started. So it's like underground. So I was going to question this. Like, do they really have these underground boxing rings?
I think so. I really believe so. It looks like it's in the back
of the church. It looks like it's in the back of that priest church. Yeah, but that's that exact cut, the scene of the Jesus is the first scene in Rocky 1. Like Rocky is in his sweaty basement. Fighting this guy, and it has the background to that.
I was lost.
I think it's in Rocky Balboa. The guy he fights in 1 he meets him in the diner. He has Rocky Balboa is a lot of throwback. Even the girl remember the girl,
the prostitute. Yeah, when he says you're going to be a prostitute if you keep doing this, she's a prostitute in this movie.
And in Rocky Balboa, she comes back also. So he does. I think Rocky Balboa was his swan song that he wanted to fix that he couldn't do with this one.
Yeah.
Because Balboa
is his
son,
is a
good movie, yeah.
Is his son in that one too?
No. You ever see the show Heroes?
I know of it, but I've never seen it.
Okay, he's on the show now. What's the show that everybody likes, but it's like a drama that people die? What's the show it's on now?
The show that people die.
Or
any show?
Someone dies. He dies in a show, but they don't know how yet, and each episode leads.
Oh, that was him? Milo Ventura?
He's in Rocky Balboa. He plays the son. Rocky's son.
Oh my God, that's so weird. He's in Rocky Balboa.
Yep.
He's on This Is Us, and then
he was
in
Heroes. He was on the show Heroes. He was the main.
And he's in my favorite Sandler movie, the Sandler movie with Vanilla Ice. He's hooking up with his sister in that movie.
Really?
Wait,
that was the whole joke at the end of the movie.
Oh,
that's
right,
my boy.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
That's Milo.
Yeah. So he played Rocky's son, and he has a great speech in that movie with his son.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, Rocky, yeah.
Wow.
But he talks normal in that movie.
Yes, he does talk normal.
Well, they don't go. They basically ignore Rocky 5. Is basically where Rocky Balboa is.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Oh, it is a good thing.
So then we have Tommy. He comes back. He wins that fight after Rocky gives him pep talk. You get more of a training montage, and then at the same time, Paulie is training Rocky Jr. at the same time, and some of these, yeah.
I was going to say, so his son now is spending a lot of time in the gym. What does a mom think the son is? Because mom doesn't want the kid fighting at all. Doesn't want her husband, his father, to train him. Where does she think that he's going?
She should know because she's the shadow across the street with the binoculars. You know?
And the kid is coming home sweaty all the time. Where does he think he is?
Studying
cigarettes. And...
Cigarettes, yeah.
Well, he does start smoking too.
That blew my mind.
He does.
I'll get there. I can't. I hate that.
The fact that Rocky gives one of his most cherished possessions, I would say, right? Two of his favorite, right? The Rocky Marciano, and also Apollo's trunks.
He's front of his son. Well, the Rocky Marciano was in front of his son too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's horrible. But the montage of him fighting these fights, he is mauling these guys. Like he is destroying. Every fight is like he's hitting hard. Like I wonder like was he known as a really hard puncher because his punches look like there's like a lot behind him.
It looks like he's a hard puncher, so I would think that he is.
Has to be. He fought Foreman, right?
No.
George Foreman?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Did he beat him?
I think he beat him. I think he had lost to Mercer. One of the fights he lost to Mercer, but he did fight Foreman. He didn't knock Foreman down, but I think he beat Foreman. But Foreman at the time was 50 years old too.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
I mean, you know,
he was already selling grills.
Oh my gosh, selling grills, yeah. Yeah. So this is the point that I'm like, how much time has lapsed? Because I don't know if it's during. I think it's during this montage is where we see at the very end he's doing an ESPN fight. So you see like. Or the Garden. I think he fights at the Garden, then on ESPN. Yep. So you see within a 10, 15-minute montage, like how much, his career is growing. You know what?
If this was like a Naked Gun movie, that would have been one day.
It would have been one day, yeah.
All those fights. Well, you think about it this way. So he met the punks twice now, right? The kids at school, and they beat him up twice. And then he meets them a third time. So he's going to school every day with his kids. You're going to tell me they didn't bother him for as long as he's been training all this time? So it couldn't have been a long time. Like it really, it was probably had to be like less than a month of all these fights.
A couple weeks. Yeah.
Well, I know I can confirm because what we talked about earlier, I know really when we get to a part later in the movie, how long it's really been. But at this point, I think it is only like a few months, like at this point in the movie.
But even that seems like a long time because he doesn't. The punks don't confront him again. I mean, until I just question how long that. Yeah.
No, I know because then this is the next scene here.
Oh.
We just talked about it with the bullies. So they're back at the school.
They're waiting again. Yeah. You don't got enough money. I got almost $1.
Save it. Something again, bimbo. Hey, Ben, what you got in the bag?
He's big, dude. He's got a little gut.
He does. I can't recognize him at all.
I'm telling you, it's those cheesesteaks.
What'd he say? Punk's losing his mind. What'd you say? Go for it.
Friggin' E, man.
Okay. How many punches does this kid take in the face?
Ooh.
I mean,
I love this. The kids. I love the kids going nuts.
They're like in prison. But he took
look at him. Edward Furlong.
No way. I didn't like him anyway.
Wow.
10 punches in the face. and did not go down.
Belongs to me.
And
yeah, that wasn't the same jacket. That wasn't the same jacket that Rocky was wearing.
You want to end it? Let's end it now.
I like this.
Yeah, I got no problems with that. See you later.
But not,
He gave it up to him like, hey, you stood up to me?
Respect.
Okay. But the kid punched him once in the beginning of the movie, just once. And he had a huge black eye and like his face was all beat up. He landed 10 punches on that kid. There was all he is like rubbing his jaw.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So, I mean, the kid could train all he wants. There's no power behind that punch.
Yeah. And then from there, it cuts right back into a montage. Because then we cut to Rocky is blowing bubbles for Tommy Gunn to punch. And then that's where I wrote it down here. This is where the movie's starting to change. Tommy's getting better. He's on ESPN. And then the Duke's in the audience with the redhead girl that looks like she was in like Skinamax movies.
Yeah,
her face looked like a witch.
I was going to say she was not attractive.
Yes.
No.
So, you know, like, I mean, like, you could get any hot actress, you know, that would play that role fine, you know, or it could be a no-name person. But they pick her. She looked old. She looked so fake, and it was not attractive. So it was like a weird person to put there.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be perfect. I just think about it, and perfect. Sharon Stone. Because this lady was like kind of manipulative, the way she was trying to convince Tommy to leave Rocky. But she was like not even a good, I don't know, I just didn't like her character. Obviously, she had huge boobs, which I get. But you need somebody that was like very like,
there were
sexual?
Plenty of B
Like a
actresses
vixen,
I'm sure they could have used that would have jumped to be in a Rocky movie. You know, like
well, they went with Double D. They went with Double D actress.
Or like Heather Locklear.
You're gonna tell me she's the only Double D redhead? I mean,
it should have got one of Rocky Jr.'s teachers.
Yes, maybe she was Rocky's teacher.
Yeah, there we go. You know what? That would.
She
make
knows
sense.
French.
That would make.
Yeah, that was the
would make
English
sense.
teacher. That's
hilarious.
Bonjour, Rocky. You know if she whispered it?
Didn't see you at the
so
parent-teacher conference on.
So then you got George Washington Duke in the crowd with the redhead.
I love how you call him George Washington Duke, by the way.
What's
his name?
What a name!
I know, but you call him Duke. I mean, the fact that you give him the full name treatment
because he's letting it go in Tokyo. I love that. No, but the fact that him and his business associate, which that guy, we looked him up. If we look him up, he's in a ton of things.
Yeah.
Such a familiar face. Jumps behind. Wouldn't that be, what would you do if some random guy that's not even associated with you is trying to get in these photos and on TV? I'd be like, dude, get away. But he's fine with it.
How does he manage to get himself there all the time? He's in every picture. He's on the rink. They don't allow that. Like, when a fight's over, you can't go near the ring. And Adrian, his wife, had a hard time getting to the ring. And somehow Duke is able to get everywhere.
Yeah.
Only in America.
Only in America.
So then this is, isn't that when Paulie says the line? When he looks over with Rocky, he goes, that the Duke's over there?
What did he say? Your sink is shipping? But he said something before that.
Something like that. Yeah.
He said, get your lifeboat. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, your ship is sinking. That was probably the smartest thing that Paulie said in 5 movies. That he was able to recognize what was going on. Because he can't recognize anything, Paulie. And he knew, this is it. It's done. You're done, Rocky.
Yeah.
He knew within no time that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And Tommy just wants his title shot, and obviously Rocky doesn't know how to do that. He just knows the boxing end of it. He doesn't know the business. And this is where I wrote this down. Rocky 5 is a Christmas movie. That's perfect. And how about this? You ready? What were they watching in it? Next week's sequel, Christmas Vacation.
Ooh.
Yes.
I love that.
Wild, right? The fact that they did that in the movie.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But this whole Santa Claus thing, it goes back to what we were talking about, how he treats his kid like a little kid. Like, he's there with his friends. It was so, embarrassing. The way he was like, we got gifts for the kids. Like, it just felt like, I don't know. It felt like it was so, like, the kid, he's in 8th grade. Like, when you're in 8th grade, you don't want to be near your parents anymore. Like, you're on your, you're done holding their hands. You're like, and he just, keep treating him like he's, in 4th grade. Although Claus. I do like what I like what E said about.
Yes, a 90 proof Santa.
Yeah, Comes down reeking of Jim Beam and cigarettes.
And I think Paulie had to come back. He said something. I forget what he said, but yeah.
He said so. Yeah. He had something. But no, the fact that just the way he kept going with it, and he's like, hey, Adrian, you hit. I saw about 1,000 reindeer up there. You're Santa. And then even Adrian's like, oh, Rocky is with his friends. And it's like, dude, this guy, his brain damage, they were like, it was too much.
You know what? You know, even as adults, sometimes you get someone dressed as Santa and they come in, it's fine. But to go to the point of talking about reindeer, like that took it to a whole different level. You know, it's funny having a drunk guy as Santa Claus is funny. I don't care what age you're at. You know, that's hysterical. You know, but to just pretend there's reindeer, that's a whole different level.
Weird. It was weird.
He's really going in on this movie.
Wait, doesn't he say? I'm almost positive. I could be wrong. As he says something like something about the deer's rantlers. He doesn't say antlers. He says rantlers.
that brain, man, that's barely hanging on. And even like at the same point, like you have Rocky's son is pissed off. He goes downstairs. He has the dangly earring.
Okay.
But how about Rocky's line? He doesn't even know how to explain, like, I thought you and I could be close. He goes, I thought you and I could be crossed fingers.
Oh, that's close. You can't get closer than that.
No, you can't get closer.
Finger be like this. He was just like, he was explaining it.
Okay.
Yeah, doing that. He was like this. I thought we could be crossed fingers.
Oh, he didn't cross his fingers?
No, he didn't know. He couldn't even explain it. His brain, and it took him forever to get it out of his mouth. He was like, I thought you and I could be crossed fingers.
Well, he had to think of something. He probably forgot what he was going to say, and that was the first thing that came to his mind. Okay, so we got to talk about his son now and these kids. Somehow they teleported to like the 1960s greasers because the way they acted, even the way his son was talking, the leather jackets,
straight out of the
arm around his chick. He's in 8th grade, and when they're walking down, like it was like a weird like I know what they're trying to do, like he's show his rebellious side against his father, but it just looked so dumb. Like it looked like it was so forced. That earring was so stupid. It was like really like
it hung down ears. It was like a leftover Mr. T prop.
It really was. It was like a pirate's earring or something. It was just so stupid. It was just, and again, his voice changed to like greasers. Like he was like, "Hey man, let's go, guys. We're gonna go out. Where we're going doesn't matter." You know, like they were just like it was just so, yeah. And they're gonna walk around Philadelphia at 11 o'clock at night.
In that neighborhood, yeah. And so then at the very same time, you have the Duke at some club. Well, George Washington Duke. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I say his full name for everyone.
Like 4 Dukes in this movie.
Yeah. Tommy Moore. Oh, well, he's passed away, but I was going to say Tommy Morrison just turned, but no. But the fact that they're at the club and this is where they're convincing him. Because if you remember, even at this part, this is what's so confusing about the timeline, which is not really that far after this. But in the timeline of this, they're sitting with him. Tommy has the redhead next to him trying to convince him. And the George Washington Duke and his associate are like, you need to get out of Rocky's shadow. And you can do this by getting a title fight and winning. And we know you can do this, but you have to get rid of him as your manager. Let him train you, but I'll be your manager. What happens a week later?
He's supposed to be a Rocky's South at this point because they waited for him.
Oh, I know.
So, yeah. So
I think he made the right choice. What was Rocky's house? What you wanted this guy to give up, go to a club with this hot redhead. Well, not hot redhead.
Okay, what's his record at this point?
Oh, he says it right when he's going into the car. I think at this point he's like 25-0.
Okay,
and it's been a year. It's been a year.
Correct. So Tommy does make the right choice because I mean, again, you're 20. You tell me you're 25-0, and it looks like all knockouts. Like, I mean, like, based on the montage.
Yeah, there's no by decision.
Murdering everybody. So, at what point is Rocky waiting for to get him that title shot? Because, I mean, I'm sure, based on this, he's the hottest thing out there right now. Because don't forget, I don't think the paper champion that they had right now, what was his name?
Union Kane? Is that?
Union
Kane. Like, no one respected him even as champion. So, like, what was Rocky waiting for? Like, you know, like they didn't discuss that. Like, you know, like, I mean, even as movie watchers, what was he waiting for?
As far as
Like, what was
a
he
business
afraid of?
move, he made the right business move. Yeah.
No, but I don't think Rocky was. I don't like. He just kept saying, "We're just." Was he afraid that he wasn't gonna? He's not champion material. Like he can't handle. Like I mean, he was trying to protect him from the grease balls of Duke, but what was he protecting him from a championship fight?
No, I think he was protecting him from what George Washington Duke did to Union Kane. He was with him. He was with Union Kane, and then within seconds, he was not with him after he lost. So I guess that was the point that he was protecting him. But isn't it crazy? 2 movies in a row that we do. Well, not. Oh, well, yeah, 2 movies in a row. Star Trek 6, the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner line. Paulie says this line.
I wrote that down.
He says, "Guess what's coming to dinner."
Yeah. Well, you expect it from Paulie. I mean,
you do expect that.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't believe as soon as he said that. I'm like, and it's funny. I probably wouldn't have thought twice about it, but because we talked about it in the last movie, and then watching it now, I'm like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe he said that. Yeah.
If you would have told me they paid Burt Young in like 2 like bottles of Jack Daniels and like a packet of cigarettes, I would have been like, yeah, that was probably his. I wouldn't be surprised.
I love his beard hanging off is down by his face so he could drink.
The Santa beard?
What a classic look. Yeah. The drunk Santa look is just amazing.
So great. So then you have the whole gang with George Washington Duke. They show up with presents, Balboas, and he has everything. And then he goes, "Well, I'm going to leave you two to it. Tommy has some business to discuss." And then that's when Tommy says, "You're never going to get me that big fight." And he's in that brand new car. And how quick that's when I figured out the timeline when I talked to right in the beginning when I asked, did the Rocky 4 happen around Christmas? Because I'm like, wait, not only does he buy Tommy a car, it has Tommy Gunn on the license plate. So it has vanity plates within no time.
I mean, he might have already had the license plate made up before he gave him the car. I mean, it doesn't mean so I'm okay with that. But, Tommy arriving, he looked like he looked like he was uncomfortable. He knew he was doing something shady.
Oh yeah.
Like so he looked uncomfortable. Like he was like, all right, we got to have a serious talk. And then he just turned into a dick. Yeah. Like he was like, you could see, like I could understand if he said, all right, Rocky, listen, he makes a lot of sense, Duke, and I want this title fight, but he approached it in such a nasty way that and then he goes, all right, we got to talk, and he literally walks right into his car. Where was he planning on talking to him?
Right.
Yeah, I guess because the girl wanted to get to a club, but you're right. That's one thing I gotta say about this movie. He was in only a couple things. Tommy obviously he got this role because he was a good boxer and he fit whatever Sly was looking for, but he wasn't bad. Like, you're right. He looked and he acted so perfectly awkward, but I think he was just so frustrated because as soon as he asked, because obviously George Washington Duke delivered, he got him a title fight. He got him money up front. And when he asked Rocky about it, Rocky stammered and balked. And then he even made a comment about his brain. Yeah. He said you don't have it all there. And then that's what he mentioned.
Well, he goes, what are you saying? I'm stupid? Is what he said.
Yeah.
He goes, and then he goes, no, and then, but the fact that he's driving away as Rocky's talking and walking while he's driving.
Hanging out the side of the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the flashback that occurs because he guns it and the sound, and then he's shaking in the street. Adrian the Shadow is there in seconds with a coat.
Seconds. She's always there. But her speech here, I thought was very powerful. It was a great speech. You're losing your son, you're losing your family. That was vintage Adrian. She does that in every movie. You wait for the Adrian speech. She has a speech. Well, I don't think she really talks much in the first movie. I don't think she says 3 words in the first movie. But after, I think from Rocky 3, 4, and 5, she has that big speech. In all 3 movies.
She's like the voice of reason. Yeah,
she is. And she always is. Which is amazing because her brother's Paulie.
Her brother is Paulie.
What a dirtbag! What a dirtbag! You can tell.
I wrote down. You
well, at least we have Adrian.
At least we have Adrian.
We failed with Paulie.
Wait, so you saw the first one?
Yeah, but this was, a
long time ago.
Yeah, on VHS I saw this one.
At this point, you got to see the rest of them, just because seeing you shouldn't end your journey at 5. You really need to see 2 and 3.
I heard the Creeds are good.
They are good, but but you got, to me, nothing beats number 2. I mean, 2 is the best.
Which is the one with Mr. T? 3?
That's 3. 3 is great too, but 3 is a little silly. It's great, but it's silly. 2 is like, to me, the best movie.
The best one.
Okay. It is good. Okay.
Yeah. All right, I got it. Yeah, I'll watch them. They're all on HBO Max, so.
Yeah.
So then we get Rocky when he finds his son after Adrian gives him that speech about, you're losing your kid, you're losing me. He finds him, he catches him smoking, and then he apologizes to him. And then I love their phrase, home team.
Home team.
Right? Home team.
Were we home team? Yeah.
And the girl goes, "You're not going to hit him, are you?"
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, he's violent. Like, that was weird.
Well, these kids are live in Philly. I'm sure they don't live in the most stable, because I think that one kid goes, I got enough problems with my own dad. And he left. So,
when he runs away.
What, are you going to hit him?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
well,
that was
nothing.
random.
I mean, you got these 2 kids that are bullies that doing shakedowns in 8th grade. I'm sure there's a little trouble at home.
True.
Yeah. And then you got, he does a terrible knock-knock joke to earn his son's trust back. He says, "Knock, knock, who's there? Tuna fish. Tuna fish you. You can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish."
And it's his delivery was just like, I know. But he added that, like, the little Italian, like, delivery to it, and it was just like,
twang. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So this is what's so crazy. Obviously, the fight is in Philly. That's the way it's set up. The big fight, because George Washington Duke got it. It's, Union Kane versus Tommy, and the whole crowd, because it was put in the paper that Tommy's not working with Rocky anymore. The crowd goes, and obviously I don't think the crowd's rooting for Union, because if that fight was Rocky versus Union, they wouldn't be. They bought money, their hard-earned money, just to go there to boo Tommy. They had signs like Rocky.
It was. But you know what, though? Knowing Philly, how Philly fans are and everything, I can see that.
Yeah, they are trash
because
people.
They have that. You ever see that thing with Bill Burr? You ever see that on YouTube? Bill Burr.
Oh, the best, yeah.
The best. And that was in Philly. Like, that's Philly fans would legitimately pay money just to make fun of something or boo people, even if they don't like them. They're just so weird.
The worst.
So then Rocky,
not the worst. Listen, we might have Philly fans, so you gotta be careful.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
We love Philly fans.
We love Philly sequel fans. Yeah. But so then you have Rocky. He's actually like, again, this could be with the brain damage. He's actually happy for Tommy. I guess there would be that moment if you train somebody that you would feel that way. But
you know what? Even though he did leave him, he considered him like a brother.
Yeah,
so he did put a lot.
That's what he said to him. Yeah,
right. So I get that. I mean, and you know what though, and I think it was cool how the son and Adrian were also there supporting Rocky, watching this. Like, even though they knew there was, because I think at this point they feel bad for Rocky. Like, he's very easily, listen, Paulie manipulated him when he was Rocky 4.
Yeah,
and Rocky 4 smarts. So can you imagine anyone manipulating now? At Rocky 5 smarts.
That probably is my favorite scene, though. Like, when it's cutting back between Rocky hitting the bag and the fight, and he's like,
I did like that.
Give him the right.
Yeah. Why wouldn't we like it? It's Rocky. He's finally punching.
Right.
Something.
He's actually
like.
Right.
I mean, this is my point. I looked at the clock. It's an hour and 20 minutes in the movie, and you're finally starting to see Rocky punching. Like, that was like, you waited the whole movie, and it's a punching bag. Like,
I thought there was a lot more like fighting in it, and I was like,
if he only like even sparred with Tommy Gunn, that would have been cool. Like, get him in a ring or something. Nothing.
And for the amount that Stallone made for this movie, I'm like, get in the ring, bro. Just put on some boxing shorts and some gloves and get in there. Like, brain damage be damned. Like, just go.
What did he make of the budget, Nick? Do you know?
Well, so I looked it up. So the first movie, he made $23,000 for the first movie. He made $15 million for this movie,
and the budget was only like $30 million.
No, the budget was 42, and the movie only made 40.
No, I thought it made like 130 million.
No, that was not right. No, I saw that too, and then I dived in because Steven told me maybe all time now it's probably at that, but at that time, box office wise, dude, it opened up on Thanksgiving first weekend. It did like $15 million, which you got to think how much tickets were then. And then after people saw it, it went down. Oh, dude.
Well, Rocky IV made I want to say $300 million. Like it was like a huge.
It crushed it in the theater. Yeah.
So yes, that $15 million is probably opening weekend. Everybody's excited, and then they told their friends, "Don't bother seeing it."
Plus, just that time too, the whole USA versus Russia Cold War. It just tapped into that. Reagan was funneling money into Rocky IV. Was just here, propaganda. Make us look good.
So then Rocky is punching the bag, and then Tommy kind of turns it around because Rocky's pissed that he's not using his training. And then when he hits the bag, that's when Tommy's giving it to Union Kane. He gets knocked out, and then he gets the mic in his face.
Well, but part of the punching, which was cool, is every punch he did, Tommy was doing. So they were mimicking almost like he
the combos that he taught him,
the training.
And and you could look at Adrian's face and this, and they're looking at Rocky like he's going nuts right now. Rocky thinks he's in the ring with Tommy, punching, and it was cool because it was almost like Cheech and Chong, Corsican brothers, they felt like each other. What was going on? It was mimicking each other, and it was a proud moment for him. He's he did everything I told him to do, and then he gets the mic,
and then.
Oh, dude, when he doesn't thank him, he thanks a guy that really in the line of the last year, it's been weeks. Yeah. That's really it. The real relationship between George Washington Duke and him. But the fact that he thanks him, I'm oh my God. And then
to see Stallone's face, because he was waiting, he saw the microphone in his hand. He's all right, and you can see it. And then all of a sudden, when he drops it and doesn't say his name, you see Stallone going moving his head, he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed, and because he knows how everybody in the audience knows, that were booing Tommy, that Stallone, he's only there because of Stallone. Whether he didn't get the shot or not. So that was rough to watch.
The way he set that up too was just I want to thank the man that sacrificed everything and got me here and really put his blood, sweat, and tears. And then
what did
George
Duke
Washington
Duke?
First
of all, what sweat did he do?
That ugly redhead chick. That's what he sacrificed to.
He should have sacrificed her over fire. What did Duke sacrifice? What did Duke sacrifice? What blood and sweat did Duke do? That Tommy said he sacrificed blood and sweat. He did nothing. It just
a snake.
Nothing at all. And then the fact that right away, Paulie says, "Hey," or even Adrian might have suggested it.
So this is where Adrian is feeling really bad for Rocky. She's pushing Paulie to drink. She goes, "Paulie, why don't you take Rocky out for a beer? Get him out or something like that." So he takes him to his favorite watering hole,
Artie's bar.
And then this is where we cut to, what we were talking about earlier. This is where we cut to the press conference of the biggest shark reporters ever. It was a crowd full of TMZ reporters ripping Tommy Morrison.
Regardless if you like him or not, he just won the championship belt, and they didn't give a crap. They were just ripping him apart they hated him.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
He wasn't ready for it.
No.
The fact that he's what? What do you mean? I'll fight anybody anywhere.
Trying to avoid.
Yeah.
This is what Rocky was trying to avoid. That's why he didn't do it. He didn't have Rocky's heart.
Oh my!
He didn't have the heart.
He did not have the heart, but that whole part was insane. And even the one guy talks about the redhead. Amazing. I heard she's real cheap.
Well, she probably is, but
those reporters are ruthless in Philadelphia.
They were they don't the worst reporters I think I've ever seen.
They don't hold back at all.
No. And
and then
it was
right
the same
away
guy
that's
from the beginning.
Yeah,
the one guy was the same jerk.
Give us something to write about.
Yeah, you owe us.
Yeah. You owe. Yeah, it's your responsibility. Sure.
God, and then that's where Tommy's I'll fight him anywhere, anytime, anywhere. And then when they're in the limo, the Duke is we'll go there, we'll convince him, you get in his face, we'll do the fight overseas so a doctor will approve it. So that's the thing that was insane. After his fight, this huge fight he just had, he just won the belt, even though the guy was really a paper champion because the belt was just pushed over to him. He goes to find Rocky at the bar.
Understand something. This was Duke's plan. So he when he tried everything, he finally goes to his crony. He goes, I know, I have a plan. I know what we're going to do. So he knew the paper champion was not going to last with Tommy. He didn't care about Tommy winning.
Yeah.
He wanted Tommy to fight, Rocky. So, I mean, this was a good plan. I mean, the way it executed, it was perfect the way he did it. So, but I also don't think Duke realized what he had with Tommy, because Tommy was such a hothead. I don't think he expected Tommy's the way the rest of the movie turns out.
To lose it. Yeah, because they fed into it. That's what I was mentioning at the Christmas party when the guys were like, oh, if you go fight and you win the belt, you'll be out of Rocky's shadows. Oh, a week later, they're basically saying like, oh, you're always going to be in the shadow. And that's what made him even crazier in the limo. And then when they get out to the bar and he's like, Balboa, get out here. And then when Rocky goes outside, how about the one guy? He's like, Rocky.
I know what you're going to say.
Rocky needs some help. This ain't a pie contest.
That was very funny. And those guys are pretty big too. They were like big, they were typical beer drinking, like they look like lumberjacks. Like they were just like the guys that they're there 3 nights a week, just hanging out there, eating peanuts and drinking. Like that's what they're doing.
Yeah, basically Tommy's dad.
And then we talked about it. Tommy's dad. It was a bar full of Tommy's dad. And how about the fact that the Duke obviously has some pull and he planned this whole thing, like Jamie said, that the TV crew's there.
The camera and the announcer?
They're filming this.
I mean, the Duke doesn't play around. Like, he really is prepared at all times. So it makes me think, though, he's obviously super successful. His loft, the car, he only has this paper champion. That's what he's riding on. Where's he getting his money from?
I think he just leeches from up and coming boxer to up and coming boxer. I'm sure there was some guy before him like Don King did. He was with Tyson. Tyson was gone.
Okay.
He latched on to the next guy, latched on to the next guy.
But it seems like Duke doesn't have anybody but the one big guy that he keeps riding on, which was the champ, who was a nobody.
Right.
Where's he getting it? Because he's living large. The Duke is living large.
Maybe he had a guy before him.
He came,
That was Rocky. Oh. No, it was Rocky. The guy before him is Rocky. Because he said that.
Well, that's that division. There was other there's other boxers and other divisions. Or maybe he's in cahoots with Paulie.
Yeah.
Him and Paulie are splitting Rocky's
story.
money.
That's why he's living large. Damn. Maybe Duke's, worked with the accountant, took his money. There's something fishy going on somewhere.
Maybe that's his little assistant as the accountant.
There's a lot of question marks.
Oh.
I'm reaching. I don't know.
So then we have Paulie. Paulie is the one that gets in between.
No fear.
He's like yelling. End of his rope. He's probably not thinking like, hey, this guy that I helped train and worked with for a year, he's not going to do anything. Dude, he cold cocks him and knocks him out.
Hard.
Yeah.
When you watch it, like that's a it's a boxing punch, like the way he does it. He punches it perfectly. And not for nothing, Paulie took it like a champ. I mean, it knocked him down, but it looked like he might have knocked some of his teeth out because he kept like putting his hand in his mouth. But the face of the Rocky makes at this point, like now he's pissed. Like now now we have Street Rocky. We have Lone Shark Rocky now.
Yeah, Paulie had some liquid courage going up to Tommy Gunn.
Oh.
Spitting.
Well, he also, don't forget, you didn't see it, but he also challenges Rocky to a fight in the beginning of Rocky 3.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Yes.
You got to get on that. So then Rocky right away goes outside to fight him, and he kicks his ass in 4 punches, knocks him down
quickly. What I did like about it. So it just shows you. Yes, he's from Philly, so. There was no talking. Like a lot of times, you're just like, all right, come on, let's go. Like, you step up to somebody, they're waiting, you're waiting. Like, Rocky basically, as soon as he walks out, he punches him right away. There was like no discussion. He literally this is how it's done in the streets. Like, you don't waste time. You're gonna fight someone, let's just do it. And he clobbers him. He really knocks him down. Probably the first time that Tommy went down.
And I love how it ties back to the dinner scene in the beginning or in the middle where they're like, yeah, we're trying to teach your son to use his brain, not his fist. And Rocky's just like, screw that. I'm just going to use my fist and beat the crap out of this guy.
Well, that was Adrian talking. I don't think Rocky ever thought about using his brain.
That's true. His brain was Skittles at that point.
His half of brain. Yeah.
So.
And then Tommy gets up, insane. He tackles Rocky, cheap shots him.
Duke is right there, and he goes, "See, this is why you don't fight him outside." He goes, we got to get him in the ring." Right now, he's seeing his money go out the window. Like he sees a payday.
Oh yeah.
Like he's waiting. His plan is all set, and now Tommy's about to blow it because now Tommy's a hothead. There's no way you're controlling him, and he just mauls Rocky.
Yeah.
Like he's just.
Dude, he knocks out 2 random bar guys.
I think he punches like 5 guys. Like at this point, he becomes like so uncontrolled. Like, and there's no cops anywhere. Like cops, like no cops.
Well, the cops show up at the end, but
they're watching.
At the end,
are they watching? They didn't
I didn't see that.
Yes,
and they're fans.
This is Philly. You know, there's cops out all the time.
That's true. They're probably taking bets. They're like, they're throwing down dollars on the ground, like. Whoa.
But the punches when Tommy's punching these random people was like ridiculous. It reminded me of Commando with Arnold at the mall when he's fighting all the security guards. Like that's basically what Tommy was doing.
Yeah.
The bowling pins.
It was a sea of people. There were so many people there so fast because it was on the news. So everybody was like, "Oh, I know Artie's bar," and then they go, and then Rocky's taking so many shots. The brain damage is showing. He's like blinking. He's holding his head. The loud sounds, slow-mo.
So they're fighting right now. Now, I mean, this is a street fight. How long is Rocky having these flashbacks that Tommy just standing around just waiting for the flashbacks to be done? Like this is a street fight. Like I know, like in his mind, it could be like 3 seconds, but like it looked like it was there a while. So like Tommy just waiting around. So yeah. But I'll tell you right now.
And
as much as I hate this movie, and I don't really I think it's just so bad, when you hear Mickey, I get goosebumps every time at the scene. Every time.
So I love that they had the Mickey part in it, but like I was mentioning, the scene that this is the work print. Like this is what was shot, like not edited. So like Burgess Meredith is standing on this bridge.
Really?
You see it. Dude, it's crazy that they actually had him in this scene.
Get up, kid. Get up. Listen to me. Fear, fear is like fire. If it controls you, it'll burn you up. But if you control it, it'll make you red hot. Now you get up and fight, kid. Get up and fight. I didn't hear no bell. There was no bell.
The end of it.
Come on, kid. Beat the shit out of him.
You know what? I like that better. That would have been cool. That would have been so much better.
The fact that he says beat the shit, he's doing his whole jacked up voice and like get up, and then at the end it's just him talking. Beat the shit out of him.
Seeing him up there, I think that was cool. Although in the movie when he goes, "Get up, you son of a bitch," Mickey loves you. When he says Mickey loves you, and then you hear you sort of hear the music. I think does the Rocky music come on at that point? The first time we hear Bill Conti. We hear a little Rocky very quickly. I think it's very short, Bill Conti, because the train goes by, and that's when I get chills, and I'm like, all right. And then somehow Rocky becomes an MMA fighter in this part.
Yeah,
it turns into a WWF backyard brawl.
But the moves that Rocky does, this is not street fighting. Like he literally
sweeps the leg.
Sweeps the leg. He does
He's
a
doing
suplex.
Chuck Liddell out here.
It becomes.
Dude, they're back to back suplexing each other, taking turns.
The movie does when he spins and he pulls his arm, he spins and pulls his leg out with his arm.
Yeah.
That spinning move. Where did he learn that? That's not a street fight move.
There's a UFC gym right next door.
Oh, I was waiting for him to grab a garbage can and throw it. It was just it was such a weird.
I know.
It was cool, but it's not Rocky. It was just I don't know.
Yeah, kind of.
And then that's when he's landing all the punches on him, and then he does the uppercut into the bus.
And I almost feel like he flattened the bus when he landed. It looked like he dented the bus when he landed. I mean, no, he just mauls. He mauls him in his part. He just, it was cool to see him punching. It was weird seeing him in the street, and then you see Duke's face. Knowing that he just lost millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Ah,
that's why
And then he tried to earn the money back by trying to egg on Rocky to punch him. Touch me, and I'll sue you. Rocky uppercuts him on top of a car, and then Rocky says, "Sue me for what?"
You got nothing left.
Okay,
nothing.
You can sue anybody for anything. So even if you have nothing, you can still sue. So that's first of all. But is it possible to punch someone that hard? And Duke is a big guy. To punch him that hard that he goes flying like that? I don't think so. Like that seemed like that was probably the hardest punch he's done in 5 movies.
Yeah, and it looked like a gut punch too. It didn't even look like to the head. I don't know from how I saw it. I don't know.
But it lifted him up in the air.
Yeah, he got some airtime underneath there.
He did.
And then how about this? And in the sea of all the people watching the fight, and then Adrian, we didn't talk about that, but the son shows up. He's telling his dad what to do.
He's telling his mom that and his dad's fighting on TV.
Yeah, and then I'm saying then the son gets there and he's like, Dad, do the jab, do the jab. And then in the sea of all these people, the priest is on a garbage can or a car.
So I wrote that down. So okay, this is a priest who's, peace and all that, and he's watching 2 people beat the hell out of each other. He's okay with that?
Jesus is a boxer. Yes.
That was my last note on my notes. The priest is okay watching this fight.
Yeah. And then me and Nick were going to read it just for time because this review, there's so much to unpack. We'll talk about how the movie was supposed to end. Rocky was supposed to die. Like on the way to the hospital, he was supposed to die. The end of the movie was supposed to be Adrian doing the services they were going to have the chair set up at the Rocky statue. She was going to be giving a speech about his heart and what he gave to boxing.
So the movie was going to be the same. He was just going to randomly die, like not in the ring. He was going to die.
Well, not randomly die. He was going to die from Tommy Morrison, the fight.
That would have been horrible. That would have been horrible. Oh, what?
As horrible as at the end, he does one more behind the ear trick with Rocky Marciano.
This is Rocky. To die in a street fight, that would have been stupid.
Right.
Yeah. But I'll tell you right now, when you started saying yes, and then Adrian, I almost thought you were going to say, starts fighting. Revenge Rocky.
Do you imagine that?
Be awesome. Girl fight.
But his son could have done it. I thought his son would have grown up to be a boxer. That would have been cool. Forget Creed.
That would have been a good sequel.
Instead of calling it Creed, call it Balboa.
Call it Robert. It should be Robert.
Robert 1.
Robert Jr. 1.
So stupid. Robert.
How about the end of the movie that just to play to the silliness of this entire movie? Rocky talks about, I've been running up these steps for 30 years and I never knew all the art that was in there. And he goes, Dad, you're going to love Picasso. And he goes, hey, I love almost everybody. But I do like the montage at the end. It was cool. They had 15 photos from every movie. I thought that was pretty cool. Wow.
When he finished, he thought this was the last one. This is the end. And, that was cool. That was a cool, throwback, but.
And then the last song was all
right, well, let's start with our guest.
Elton John was the last song, right? Was it
No,
what?
They afforded Elton John for this. No, that was not Elton John. It was another bad title track.
That's Elton.
That was Elton John.
I got the IMDb right here.
Yeesh.
Wow.
You printed out the soundtrack?
No, I got the IMDb up right here.
Oh, okay, good.
Nice.
All right, so Nick, we'll go with our guest first. Would you recommend, so as this being your only third Rocky movie, would you recommend somebody to check this movie out?
This was rough. This was a rough one. Not on the level of Munchie, but I don't know.
You're talking about not that great.
No, not that great. Not that great. Considering Stallone has personally rated this movie as a 0 out of all the Rocky movies, he was asked to rate them, and he gave this movie a 0. And he says the only reason he did this movie was because of greed. I'm going to go with no. I'm going to go with check out 4. I mean, if you want good Rocky sequels, I mean, I'll go ahead and watch 2 and 3. But I would say because there's no box, I mean, you don't see Stallone fight in this movie until the end, and it's in it's on East Broadway in Philadelphia. I want to see him in the ring. So yeah, no, I'd probably say watch 4.
well, I'm going to go. And first of all, I still can't believe you waited this long to watch Rocky. I mean, that's a crying shame. I mean, it's one of the best franchises of all time.
It's pretty good. I mean, 1 and 4 were good.
Okay, you definitely watch the other ones. Okay. So, without a doubt, this is the worst Rocky out of all of them. I mean, I have, my order. And to ask anyone to watch it, I would say you have to, just because it's Rocky. It has all the characters. It's something you could watch once. You don't have to watch it again. But I think you watch it after you watch all the other ones. I think you should watch it. It is a Rocky. You can't take that away. But I would never lead into it. Definitely don't watch it first, because it might ruin you. You may say, like, I don't want to watch the other ones after this one. But you have to watch it. It's Rocky. So it is a Rocky story. It's just not what you remember from the other 4 movies. So that's my take.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like you have to watch it. And I think it's one of those levels, like, it's so bad. It's not good, but it's so bad you're watching it saying, like, how did it get to this point? And again, I love the end street fight, really. Looking back when I was younger, I was like, man, it's so stupid, but it still was so good. It sucks that you had to wait an hour and a half to get to him actually fighting someone, but I did like that part of the movie.
So you know what? Let me put it this way. And I think there's a movie here, and it's not a bad movie if you take away the first 4 Rockies, right? So if the first 4 Rockies didn't exist and you only have this movie, and the movie starts off with a flashback of his and it has a story, it's not a bad movie. But because we know the other movies, we know the franchise, we know, just the whole story and how it regresses back to the original, that's where it makes the movie bad. Because if you didn't know anything about the movies and you see Rocky fighting in a street fight, like, you don't know it, it's a good movie. It's not a bad movie. It's not bad acting. It just tarnishes the reputation of what the Rocky franchise is. And I think that's the difference.
That might have done it for me, was watching 4 first and then watching 5. And I'm like, oh, 4 was awesome. Like that 4
went with one of the best ones. Right.
Oh.
So right.
And then watching 5 and I'm like, wait, what?
You know what though? That you make so I wonder if someone's never seen any of the Rockies and they watch this one and don't know anything about Rocky, like if you get like a younger person doesn't know anything about Rocky, like Clubber Lang or Creed, I wonder if they would like this movie. They'd think, you know what, it's a good drama.
Nah, it's still slow.
But it's a
still
drama,
slow.
though. I mean, it's got a good story of a one-time great boxer who's now just living on the street. You don't know that's where he started from because you didn't see Rocky 1. So you know what I'm saying? So like you see it down the luck, so it's a drama. So I wonder if you never knew anything about it, if you would think this movie was like, it's a pretty good movie. I bet you that people would think that.
Like I said,
real quick, Jamie, what's your rankings of the first 5 Rockies?
So I would say 2, 4, 1, 3, 5.
Wow.
And again,
yes, exactly what it might.
One is the best. Has the best story. Like, 1 is a great story, but it is very slow. I just watched it recently. It's very slow. Yeah. The drama. You could barely understand a word Rocky says. Like, he really mumbles like the whole movie. 2 is just like, there's so many points where, first of all, it's the first like good training, but the scene, I'm not going to say anything, but like there's scenes where it really gets you going. And then just, 4 is just, the training is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And Lundgren. So Dolph Lundgren and just robotic.
It's just
the
whole,
awesome.
the focus that he has it for, and just again the music alone. I mean, it gets you pumped up. Every song in the movie is awesome. The robot kind of ruins the movie a little bit. But
no, it does not. Happy birthday, Paulie.
As a kid, I loved Rocky 3, like almost one of the best ones, just because Mr. T is the best bad guy. Like you haven't, like I think he's definitely the best villain, more than Dolph Lundgren.
Really,
he's the best villain. Because Dolph Lundgren doesn't talk.
That's true. Yeah,
his crap talking.
So Dolph Lundgren is the biggest villain. Like he's the toughest villain. But Mr. T is a character. Like he's like he's insulting the whole movie. He's a good bad guy. So yeah.
All right. Well.
All right, Nick. Thank you for going with the worst of the franchise, but it was a lot of fun to discuss it. And so next week is jam pack because it's Christmas and timing. I did not time everything right. And it's our last sequel of the year. It's the greatest Christmas sequel of all time, Christmas Vacation. And our guest is Cousin Catherine.
Are there a lot of Christmas sequels?
Is there a lot of Christmas sequels? I don't know, but there's Christmas Story 2, Santa Claus 2, Santa Claus 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jack Frost 2.
Jack Frost, yeah. And then, so Cousin Catherine herself, Miriam Flynn. Miriam talked about how she landed that role, her relationships with so many of her former castmates from Second City. We talked about her voiceover work, and this interview would not have happened without the help of former guest Lance Kinsey. He and Miriam have been friends for over 40 years. So check out, I got to plug his movie, All Stars, hilarious, about being a coach of a 10-year-old softball team. Great cast. Miriam's in that movie. Fred Willard's in the movie. Man,
you know what?
It's so funny. So many great improvisers. And it's free on Pluto TV. It's hilarious. I'll put it in the notes. So Miriam will be Monday. And then on Thursday, 2 days before Christmas Vacation. Man, shitter's full. I'm so excited.
It's by far the second best Vacation. I love the first one.
Original,
the first one's the original is amazing, but Christmas Vacation is by far the second best.
So good.
Yeah,
and honestly,
so don't forget.
I was gonna say for Christmas movies, like I probably see Elf every year, but I also see Christmas Vacation every year. Like that is by far to me the best Christmas movie outside of Die Hard.
My favorite Christmas song, the opening title track's the cartoon of this movie. Hip, hip, hooray, it's Christmas Vacation. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Hey, good night.